Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to do a slightly different video and I want to talk about 5 things I wish I'd known before I went travelling. 2019 is quite a special year for me. It marks 10 years of travelling and living abroad. I left home when I was 19 and I moved to South Africa for work and study, and over the last 10 years I've lived in 4 continents, 23 and counting countries, and I've successfully and unsuccessfully used 3 different foreign languages. So I thought now was a good time to kind of summarize that all, to add it up and to see what I've learned and what I wish I'd known before I'd gone traveling. So if you'd like to know what my 5 things are, then please keep watching. Now this is in no particular order, but number 1 on things I wish I'd known before I went traveling is the history of some of the countries I went to. I'm not saying you have to be an expert in everywhere you go, but it's so easy to just have a look, watch a little documentary, go on a Wikipedia page. I was very young when I left. I was only 19 and I went to South Africa, and I could have done more research, and that's something that really sticks in my head. I wish I'd known a little bit more about the country, that I'd have learned a lot more about something like apartheid. Even though people are really open and really happy to talk about it and discuss it, you can sometimes get contrasting opinions, conflicting views. So just for me personally, I wish I'd done some research and I'd really understood the history of the country and the culture and the people a little bit more. And some other countries that stick in mind for me for this are like Colombia and Brazil. They have very complicated histories, and it's just nice to show some respect and to learn a little bit about it before you go. Number 2 of things I wish I'd known before I went traveling is to copy the local women. Now this might sound a bit strange, but every culture is a little bit different in how people interact, and in British culture it's really normal to speak to members of the opposite sex and to not really expect anything. This was really not the case in Brazil in particular. This one really stays in my head. Although Brazilian girls are really friendly, I did notice that when guys come and talk to them, they shut them down really quickly. They're like, no. And I thought, oh, okay, this is maybe a little bit rude. No, it's not. They know what they're doing. Copy them. They've had the experience. Just to give you an example, I was sitting on the beach one day and a guy came and said, do you mind if I sit here? There was like 10 square meters of sand. I thought, yeah, it's fine. He sat on my towel. On my towel. So, and then tried to talk to me, tried to hold my hand. It was so uncomfortable. I just got up, I left, I lost my beach day. So yeah, just if the girls do it, you do it. Trust me, you will want to do what they're doing. Number 3, and this one was very particular for me, is that your accent will change. This isn't a big issue for most people, but for me, I had quite a strong accent. I had a Liverpool accent. And I left and I went to somewhere where people didn't even speak English as their first language, and it was quite important that I could communicate, and nobody could understand me. So this is quite a headache because you're always trying to pronounce things differently, you're always repeating yourself, you have to make yourself slow down. So yeah, it just kind of naturally evolved over time. Actually, in my first job in South Africa, my manager said to me, come back for your assessment in a week and be more understandable, because I just can't understand what you're saying. And I ended up just copying the people around me who were all Afrikaners, and I came home with the weirdest South African, British, Scouse accent. It was really weird. Thankfully that's mellowed out over time, but yeah, I spend a lot of my time teaching English to people, obviously, who don't speak English, sometimes not even speaking English myself, so it's kind of just normal that your accent will change. Something that I didn't expect is that when I come home and I meet people who I have never met before, they're almost offended by my accent. I can see some people are like, why do you sound like that? Do you think you're better than us? Are you trying to be posh? So yeah, I think for some people it's a little bit strange. So if you do have a strong accent and you lose it, just be aware that when you get home, not everybody's so happy that you sound different. I don't know why. Number 4, and I can't believe I'm going to say this on camera, is poop. I just want to put out there, I've never had a really bad experience with this. Although I did eat really bad chicken and end up in hospital, So in hindsight, maybe I would rather have shat myself. But yeah, when you go traveling, this is just a thing. You're eating strange food, you're drinking water that you don't know where it's come from, you're sharing hostels and hotels with people and rooms and bathrooms. If you are easily embarrassed, you just have to get over that and just say goodbye to your modesty, because this is going to happen. And the thing is, it's going to be really, really funny. I feel like when I came home, loads of my stories were about stuff like this that wasn't even related to me or my friends, but stories I'd heard from other people that I just thought were hilarious. My friends were like, why are all your stories about poo? But honestly, it's just one of those things, and you really have to just be prepared that it's going to happen and it's going to be funny. So yeah, try not to be too embarrassed. Don't try not to be too modest. It's just one of those things. And my last one of 5 things I wish I'd known before I went traveling is that people are going to love you or hate you based on nothing but your nationality or the way that you look. Despite Britain's colonial history, people genuinely really like us and they want to talk to you, they want to practice their English. If you're tall and pale and have green or blue eyes, it's like being famous. You know, people want to touch you, hold your hand, try and take pictures with you, try and talk to you, stop you to talk to you. It's a little bit strange. If you don't like being the center of attention, it can be a little bit uncomfortable. This is also something to consider if you're raising kids. I know people who didn't want to raise their children in Thailand because they were white, blonde and blue-eyed, and even from a really, really young age, everyone was treating them like princes and princesses. And this is not normal, this is not healthy. So yeah, unfortunately this also works on the other side. Obviously I don't have any experience of this, but if you are traveling and you're a person of color, you might have some bad experiences. Some, obviously, countries are much more racist than others. There's stereotypes, there's prejudices. It's just something that you have to be aware of and you have to know is going to happen. So yeah, sometimes people really love you, sometimes people get quite aggressive. I notice this with Americans. In a lot of countries, people can get quite confrontational with American travelers. I don't know why. I don't know any traveler who dictates foreign policy, but there you go. People like to get aggressive. So just be aware of that. So there are my 5 things that I wish I'd known before I went traveling. Do you agree with them? Would you add anything? Please write in the comments below and let me know your thoughts. Also, if you liked the video, hit the thumbs up and please subscribe. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.